Hey everyone. So we've been doing some stuff. This is not necessarily book related. I mean, it is. It's comic related. But we've had this list going for a while. We had done our best superheroes and our favorite villains. And so we had to put together a list of our favorite non-super comic book characters. And then just life got in the way. And that was months ago. So we've had this waiting to go. And so we're finally getting to it. So I'm going to go, I don't think Sir Chonk even remembers who's on his list. And I'm going to start and then we'll switch. So number 10, I'm just making sure I had 10. Okay. Number 10 for me is Hooded Justice from Watchmen. I love Watchmen. And Watchmen was one of those books that it took me a while to get into. I was reading it and I remember being saying to Sir Chonk, is this going to get better? Because it's boring. And then, at some point about, 30% of the way into the book, I was like, oh, I get it. This is amazing. But at first, I was just this is just a bunch of, textbook entries and, newspaper articles and then random comic strip parts. And I was I could not understand what the point of it was. And then, once I got it, I loved it. So, but Hooded Justice is just a really interesting character. It's kind of one of the things, if you haven't read Watchmen or seen the TV show of Watchmen or know anything about Watchmen, which I feel like you probably do if you're looking about comic books, but it's kind of a look at superheroes and villains and the concept, but kind of turns it on its head. Are the Watchmen good? Are they bad? Or, and so Hooded Justice is kind of a good guy, but kind of considered a villain in a way too. But basically he was a slave, or was he a slave?
I don't remember.
But essentially he's a black man who goes out and goes after KKK members and racists and then murders them. So he's a hero, but he's also, I guess, a villain. But, let's be honest, no one's going to miss a racist, so good for him. And so I like him, because I kind of I guess, again, it gets into that, is a vigilante a hero? But, I feel like the world is not going to be missing the KKK. So, if you want to, take out the KKK, good for you. Right?
Sound assessment there. Yeah.
All right. So, number 10 for Sir Chonk is the Will.
Oh, the Will. Oh, I like him. I don't remember my list, so it's all new to me. Yes, the Will from Saga. I don't know if you've read Saga. I used to love Saga, and then the last 20 issues or so I haven't really liked very much. But the Will is pretty cool. He's like a bounty hunter kind of dude, and he hangs out with Lion Cat, who's awesome. And, he's one of those kind of typical bounty hunter guys that, he's murdering people and he's capturing people, but deep down, he's a nice guy, which normally annoys me. But for the Will, it works, because he's got just enough of an edge and murder streak to make him a very appealing and fun character. Boop.
All right. Number 9 for me is Inkblot. Inkblot is from Inkblot. It's a comic book series. I think it's Image. And basically it's just about this time traveling cat who goes through periods of time and connects these people, opening portals to other periods and places. He doesn't really know. I don't think he's a time-traveling cat. To be honest, the plot is a little...
Wait, is he able to do that? So that'd make him a super guy, then. Super cat.
Yeah, but I don't think he knows he can. And basically, the portals get opened and these things happen because the cat is being a cat. So he'll, jump onto, papers and stuff and somehow open a portal into, a new dimension. And then he's just, appearing, and then so he's, fighting dinosaurs. But he's a cat, so he just is papping the dinosaur, dinosaur. And at one point he destroys this evil monster that's trying to kill this entire family by being a cat, just by smacking it in the nose, because he doesn't know he's a cat. And all the cat does is go meow. And so the plot's a little loose. And I basically was there's not really anything happening in this story. It's just basically about a cat causing cat chaos through time and space. But he's adorable, and he's a cat, and he has big eyes, and he says meow. And so who doesn't love
That's all you need.
The cat?
Yeah.
And so I mean, yeah. Who doesn't love Inkblot? I mean, look at him. He's adorable. All right. Sir Chonk's next one is Joe Bob Coates.
Oh, yeah, this guy is cool. So this is a great series, That Texas Blood. And this guy is like one of those, like, he's beat down by life, but, like, he still is, like, really attached to, like, his wife, and he's still, like, incredibly good at his job. But it's all, like, these kind of comical moments of, like, crap, like, he has this one issue, he's trying to find a killer, but also, like, he has to protect the pie that he bought because he needs to bring the pie home. So he's like, I can't have this pie ruined, my wife will kill me, as he's trying to catch, like, a serial killer. It's just, like, it's not as funny as it sounds, like, consistently. That's kind of funny. It's a little bit funny. But it's a very good, like, Western noir story, and I just like the characters just got, like, a great sense of, like, grit, world weariness, and yet still, like, gets the job done.
Is he like Tommy Lee Jones? Is Tommy Lee Jones in No Country for Old Men? Or
I mean, I don't know. It's not really a great match, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Number 8, I have Octo from Something is Killing the Children. And this is a demon, but who's trapped in this, like, cute plush guy.
People. Just, oh, no, I picked the rabbit. Never mind.
What?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, and so he is, I mean, technically he's a demon. Or, like, a murderer, serial killer or something, right?
He's a former monster that they trapped his soul in the doll.
Yeah, but it's just
the first one that what's her name kills.
Erica.
Erica
Slaughter,
kills.
yeah. So he's just cute, even though he's like a monster.
So evil, though.
And he's evil, and he's like kind of snarky, and he's always like basically ridiculing her and like telling her like she's an idiot and that like the monsters are going to take over, and he's just. But look at him, he's adorable.
Yeah, he's adorable. That's why I like evil and adorableness.
Right. It's, I mean, obviously, like, it's playing off the fact that it's adorable, but he's also evil. So, very much a fan. I really like Something is Killing the Children. It took me a while to get into that one, too.
Awesome. Yeah, remember you read one issue, like, nah.
I just thought it was okay.
And then I read a bunch, like, this is great. And you're like, yeah, it is.
Yeah, and then I went back to it and was like, oh, yeah, it is good.
Still great.
All right, so you're number 8.
Zabu, or Zabu, or Zabu. So anyway, Zabu is the giant saber-toothed tiger that hangs out with ka-zar, or ka-zar. I don't know how to pronounce anybody's names.
Right, because it's all written.
Right. So anyway, if you don't know, ka-zar is a famous Marvel character, and he hangs out in the Savage Land, and his bestest bud...
Which is kind of racist, right?
Well, it's savage as in, like, dangerous, not as in, like, has savages in it.
I mean...
It'd be like calling it, like, the danger land.
Isn't it like doesn't he live in like Africa
it's
in
like,
the jungles?
No, it's like dinosaur time. It's
oh,
like
okay, so it's like prehistoric, not,
yeah.
Okay. So it's not racist.
Yeah, it's like a different jump to like different time periods, sort of. Anyway.
I mean, again, it was from the 50s or 60s. You can only be
Zabu's great. He doesn't do much except sort of like prowl around and occasionally pounce on something and beat the absolute crap out of it. But that's enough for me, dang it. I love my saber-tooth tigers big and chill, and that's what this dude is.
His first appearance?
If he first appears in ka-zar's first appearance, then yes.
I know we have the other guys all first appearances because we have all those other books.
Yeah,
but...
I don't know if I actually do. If it's X-Men 10, then yes, I have it.
Okay.
If it's something else, then I don't know.
We should look up. We should find out what Zabu's first appearances.
We totally should.
Pause. We're going to go find out.
We will.
Great news. We do have his first appearance. It's X-Men 10.
As I suspected.
Obviously, we have all of Watchmen in comic form and in graphic novel form. We have all the saga. Inkblot was in Inkblot 1. It's pretty new. We have Something's Killing the Children 1, and we obviously have that Texas Blood 1. So,
how about them choppers on Zabu, by the way?
He's a saber-toothed tiger. He's got to have big choppers.
Yeah, they're nice. I'm just saying. He takes good care of them. He's not like not flossing with the bones of his enemies. He's doing that.
All right, well, number 8. We have Tulip from Preacher. I'm not sure if I have her first appearance. It's probably Preacher 1.
Well, you have Preacher 1.
And so if it is, then I have it. If it is not...
Are we stopping to look up all the first appearances? Is that what we're doing?
Well, when I looked up Tulip first appearance, I found out they were found and introduced to Western Europe in the late 16th century by Carolus Clusius.
That's actual Tulip's
a biologist from Vienna.
The actual Tulip's first appearance.
So I do not have the actual flower's first appearance.
Dang.
Tulip is in Preacher 1. And that's Jesse's girlfriend.
So far.
She's a really cool character. Really like her. She's a badass. And, I mean, I really liked Preacher, but I just love, like, I mean, one of the things that like Vertigo was doing that, you know, not a lot of people were doing at the time was obviously being a little edgy, but also I think, you know, positioning people, you know, women and people of color and, you know, people with like different abilities and such in like badass power roles. And, you know, obviously that's, I mean, you know, Marvel and DC, I think, did that, you know, but they were doing it like while trying to be like socially popular and, you know, fit the mainstream. And I don't think Vertigo did that, you know, had to worry about that. And so I just thought it was cool because I was like, you know, it was the 90s and there weren't too many like badass women who are off just like being like evil and corrupt and twisted and just as, you know, intense as guys. And now you got Erica Slaughter and stuff and it's like it's just normal, but at the time it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my number 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
Yeah, right.
No, that's 7.
What?
Yeah, we had 10 was Watchmen, 9 was Inkblot, and 8 was Octo. So 7 is Tulip from Preacher.
What the heck did I do?
You had the Will, the guy from that Texas Blood, and Zabu.
We're watching this like, these guys are idiots.
All right, so your number 7, speaking of badass women.
Oh, yeah, we were just talking about her octopus.
Yeah.
Erica Slaughter from Something is Killing the Children.
And obviously we have a first.
I mean, look, if you're going to wade into a pool of mostly invisible demon monsters with a machete and a bandana, and then kill everything and stroll out, you're going to be on my list. That's just how it works, all right? The series is a great combination of sort of like detective-y stuff, sci-fi, horror, and just violence. It's great. Erica Slaughter is an extremely captivating character.
Yeah, she's really well-rounded, though, because she's, like, kind and, like, good on top of being, like, an evil monster killer.
Like, yeah, she runs into a lot of, like, children victims, because, you know, Something is killing children. But when you don't get them all killed, she saves some. And
yeah.
She's got a very nurturing element to her personality, which is a bit of a shame. I'd rather she just punted the kids into a van. But what are you going to do? I still think she's great.
Well, I think that's what's so interesting about her, too, is that she's, like...
Yeah, there's a lot of
She
depth.
does it for the, like... the right reasons, but she's also like not afraid to be like literally, like you said, wading
she's
into
not like The Bachelor. She's not doing it for the wrong reasons.
Right, exactly. All right, so moving on to our 6th pick, I have Debbie Decay from Tokyo Ghost, which I
thought would be a Garbage Pail Kid.
I obviously have that for experience because these are all like newer comics. She's another badass. Tokyo Ghost is such an underrated comic series, and I really hope, like, I know there was options and, you know, there's talk. I think this would make such a great, like, TV series or movie. It's Rick R. And it's about, essentially, like, a modern society, very similar to ours, just a little more sci-fi, where pretty much everybody lives in Elon Musk's dreamland, where everything is, like, tied to your brain. And so, like, information is just like constantly being fed into like what is essentially a computer chip in your brain, and it's all entertainment, so it's just advertising and, you know, dumb reality shows and just nonsense programming and social media, and so like people have like zero humanity left. And if you've ever anybody read that, what's
like
that
today.
book, Feed?
Yeah, Feed, that they all the
yeah,
in their head.
Which by M.T. Anderson, that's also a really good book. But so it's like that, and so
ironically, her name is Empty.
Him, isn't it?
I'm
pretty sure M.T. Anderson's a guy. Anyway, but so in Tokyo Ghost, it's like that, but Debbie and her boyfriend were essentially like holdouts. Like they were not going to get the chip. They were like anti-chip, and he was like a undercover cop or something. Like I forget the exact role he played, but basically he was trying to stop crimes that were occurring in this sort of like virtual world. And then to do that, he had to like essentially become one with them. And then he lost like all of himself. And so Debbie's goal is to like fight the sort of ruling group that controls people through these chips and to get her boyfriend back. And so it's part like that. And then she finds this like place in former Tokyo, basically, but they set up it's all nature and no one has the chips and no one has any technology.
Imagine not having chips.
And so she set out to like save her boyfriend basically from technology, and she's a badass, super cool. Like the plot's really good, obviously, of the entire series. Just, you know, like at what point do we give up everything we are for technology? Which, typical dystopian stuff, but just a really, really great written story, really well-rounded characters.
Fun fact.
Very exciting.
Debbie Decay is the half-sibling of Ray Decay.
Again, garbage pill.
Yes.
So you're number 6.
Oh, heck yeah. The Badger.
Do you have his first appearance?
Yes.
Okay.
It's The Badger. Right. So The Badger, by Mike Barron, is a martial artist who has... Is it still dissociative identity disorder? Have we changed the name?
I think that's what it's still called.
I think it's still So he has dissociative identity disorder. And probably... this was written... early 90s?
So before it was appropriate,
probably
socially appropriate.
not the most accurate depiction of that. So I'm not going to sit here and say it's a particularly realistic version of that, but it makes for a lot of interesting
Doesn't Moon Knight also have dissociative identity? Yeah.
A lot of interesting complexities, because some of his characters are quite bizarre, and I could definitely see some people getting offended by this book. But aside from that, he's so weird, and he's so unhinged, and he does the most, bizarre stuff. And it's a great action comic. I love The Badger. You get some really bizarre and enjoyable catchphrases that I like as well.
Right. Never read anything about The
Calls
Badger.
everyone Larry.
I think I know... I've read all of your people, and you've read all of my... You read...
Tokyo Ghost.
No, you didn't read Tokyo Ghost, but you have read... You read part 1 Inkblot. Obviously, we've read Watchmen, and I haven't read a lot of ka-zar, but I've seen Zabu in a thing. I know nothing about Badger. So in our number 6, we didn't know anything about each other's books. All right, we don't have this first appearance. This is number 5 for me. This is V from V for Vendetta. I really want to get these comics. We don't even have the graphic novel, do we?
I don't know.
We
I
might.
stole it from school. But I didn't.
I love this. This story is just... And actually, here's a good example of a great book and a great movie. They're very different. Obviously the main plot's the same, but there's so many elements that I think are done way better.
In the movie, he's known as E for Emmentaler, and it's all about cheese. No, wait, that's probably not accurate.
That's not right.
No, never mind.
But, there's a lot of really cool things in the book that don't make it to the movie or just, get kind of, diluted. And obviously there's really cool things in the movie, I think. Isn't it the guy who plays Agent Smith who plays him?
Yeah.
He's just so fantastic at it, and some of it's just the dialogue, obviously how he talks is just really fun. So there are parts of the movie I think that just work really well too. So, but V is so cool, and again, you can see, I have a lot of characters who are good, but not. So either anti-heroes or vigilantes or questionably moral.
Wait, you have a question? Oh,
I don't have the question, but again, Erica Slutter is also sort of similar, where it's she's doing it for the right reasons, but she's murdering a bunch of.
She's only murdering monsters who are also.
I guess, but
people.
also, and that's
it's not like he's murdering a
right, but she's not
monsters.
Casually just telling them to stop. She's viciously killing
because they're in the process of killing things. She's not a vigilante.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But V is a little bit like Debbie Decay or Hooded Justice, where they're going out and he's going after the government, which is corrupt and should be gone after. But obviously, it's sort of So I really like this kind of character. I like books and stories with characters with shades of gray, where you're doing the right thing but in the wrong way, or you're doing the wrong thing but for the right reason. So that's kind of, and he, I feel is pretty much the epitome of that, very I guess you could call him evil, but for pretty much a very high moral ground, essentially, of the things he does. But at the same time, he's also blowing up buildings and stuff.
He's got a cool hat as well.
But yeah, really, really great character. You've read that, obviously, and then I don't think I've actually read this.
Ooh,
and you have his first appearance. Because you obviously have all of them.
All right, I love Canto, that short little helmet wearing dude. So Canto is just a small little dude. He's 2 feet tall. He's in this really kind of creepy fantasy world, and his people are enslaved. and none of them have like the strength or the willpower to overcome their slavery except for Canto, because he has to get a heart because his beloved will die without the heart. And so this is just like, I don't know, this is maybe a little cheesier than most things I would like, but something about it just really works for me. He's just the small little dude who's got like no skills, no experience. Literally all he has working for him is courage and determination, and it's just great. This is going to be, by the way, once they make this a series, this is going to be one of the most amazing series of all time. If they have like a good animator and they make the script work. Because I think it could potentially be absolutely unbelievable. People will love this if they do it right. Love Canto. Amazing.
All right, so those are our number 5. So moving on to number 4, and we have, this is a first appearance again with the like badass women, sort of like immorally moral or morally immoral, is Grandma from Once and Future. This is a Boom series. Oh, so is Something is Killing the Children. They've been having a
Something's Killing the Children is Image, isn't it?
No, they're Boom.
Oh, that's right, it is Boom.
Yeah, and so Once and Future it's Kieran Gillen, not to be confused with Kieran Gillen.
Both are hot for different reasons.
I don't know if you say them both the same way, but they're spelled differently. But yeah, he's written some other. I think he's writing X-Men right now, maybe, or something. Did he write something else? Oh, he wrote
Star Wars, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Star Wars for a little
He
while.
wrote some stuff, but I love Once and Future. I mean, I'm obviously gonna like Once and Future. It's essentially Arthurian legends brought to modern times, full of like British lit references and like British history stuff. And I mean, like, literally take all the things I like and put them in one. And one of your main characters is a snarky grandma who's actually secretly this like vengeful killer, like hunter of like evil. But she's like in a retirement home, and it starts with essentially like this dorky like mid-30s guy who's just like visiting his grandma. And then all of a sudden it turns out that like, who is it that's been brought back? Galahad or
Lancelot at some point. That would be later.
Who's the first guy they bring back?
Was it Beowulf first?
No, they bring back one of them has been brought back, one of the Arthurian knights.
I don't remember who. It's one of the main
and
guys.
He shows up at at grandma's like he kidnaps the grandma basically. And so the guy's like, "Where's my grandma?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know, she left." And he's like, "Where could she go? She's like an old woman who just sits around like playing cards." And he thinks she's like, a decrepit old grandma who's like, on her last legs. And it turns out she's like this super badass. And it's just really fun, but like also like violent and action packed and just like well written. And I love this series. I absolutely love this series. I think it's done now, and I'm like still only like on like issue like 18. like I'm way behind on my comics. But yeah, Grandma is a super badass. You like Grandma?
Yes, Grandma's very cool.
Okay. All right.
I like the snark.
And you're number 4.
Ooh.
I've never read any of him.
All right.
You had his first appearance, right?
Yes. Charlton Comics. No, Captain Atom, like 83, I think.
You have all of his first... Oh, this is... You're particular.
I have Ted Kord's first. So this is the Ted Kord Blue Beetle. Now,
and he's not a superhero, right?
No, he has no superpowers at all. So Jaime Reyes has superpowers, and Dan Garrett has superpowers, but Ted Kord gets screwed, and he got no superpowers, and he's still... Well, his superpower is similar to Batman. He has a ton of money. So he develops gadgets and stuff. He's like the less dark, much funnier Batman. I love this character. We have all-time favorite characters, obviously. He hangs out with Booster Gold a lot. He's in the Justice League from time to time. He's just incredibly witty and fun, and like... He never fights villains that are like too over the top. So, like the stakes, it's not a comedy, but the stakes aren't like overly heavy most of the time. He's just a really fun, extremely entertaining character. I know again, Jaime Reyes is like the popular guy right now because he has like a movie and stuff. But that character's fine. It just doesn't have any like the wit and charm and style of Ted Kord. Of course, I haven't seen the movie, so maybe like Ted Kord's in it and they make him stupid. Who knows? All
right, so we're down to our last 3.
Lying.
Yeah, and we have this guy's first appearance. This is Lion Cat from Saga. And we already kind of mentioned him briefly when we were talking about the will. Lion Cat is a cat. He's a giant cat, actually. Mm-hmm. Who if you don't know, and first of all, if you haven't read Saga, go read it. It's amazing, even if Sir Chonk is like not liking it as much anymore.
Yeah, well, it's still worth reading like the first 70 or so.
It's just so good. But a lion cat is a cat that basically, if you lie, he says lying, or she, and tells you you're lying, and that's pretty much what lion cat does.
But it's used to a very clever effect.
Yeah, it's just really, really well done. And also, lion cat is super cool, and it's a cat, and if anything ever happens to lion cat, there's going to be hell to pay.
And we get chucked into space.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm done with this.
The artist was like, if you kill the cat, I'm quitting the book.
Yeah, I basically, when I say he get at one point, so if you do read it, at one point in the series, he gets chucked out of like a spaceship into space, and I was like, okay, I'm done with this book if something happens to Lion Cat, because that is, like, there will be hell to pay at Downton Abbey tonight, which nobody's going to get that reference, but
some people might
say that a lot. And yeah, like, no, I was not going to be buying that.
Is it Kelly Sudokana? Who's the artist? Who's the artist?
Fiona Staples.
Fiona Staples, yeah. She was like, if you kill this cat, I'm going to quit the series, remember?
Right.
He was going to kill Lion Cat off, and then he didn't, because she's like, no, you won't.
You cannot kill a cat. Or I don't think he wanted to kill the cat, but I don't know.
According to, like, I don't know, the letter
Brian K. Vaughan,
somewhere, he was going to kill him off, and then she was like, no, you're not.
Yeah, no killing Lion
also,
Cat.
Also, Goose. Goose is another great character.
Oh, yes, Goose is amazing, and Friendo.
Yeah, Goose got kicked in the face in the last episode. Poor Goose.
Oh, I'm, like, so far behind on Saga. I haven't read it since it came back. I have it. I want to read it. I'm really behind my comics, as I just said. So that's my number 3. I'm trying to find out for Sir Chonk's number 3 what the first appearance is, because I think he has it, but.
Oh, I think is it Baldur's Gate one, maybe?
I don't know. Yeah, there's a bunch of different.
I don't remember. It might be Baldur's Gate.
Oh yeah, Legend of Baldur's Gate 1.
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yes. So wait, is it what did I pick? Did I pick Minsc or Boo or both?
You had both.
I have both. All right. So I'm going with, from Dungeons and Dragons, Minsc and Boo. And if you don't know, Minsc is like a very stereotypical D&D fighter character, in that, like, all he wants to do is run and punch and chop things. He doesn't think of anything. He's like super, quote, good. So he's like, are you evil? Yes. Die, evil! And like, even like nothing else is going on. It's hilariously ridiculous. It's like, it plays into like the dumb fighter trope so good. And Minsc is the...
You mean Boo?
Oh, sorry, Boo is the miniature gigantic space hamster. So it's at least according to Minsc, his hamster Boo is a hamster from space who's typically gigantic, but he's a miniature version of gigantic, so he's a regular sized hamster. And Boo just chills on Minsc's shoulder most of the time while he's murdering the crap out of people who may or may not be evil or may or may not have committed some minor crime. And occasionally he'll jump off and like bite somebody or make a squawk noise. But they're great. If you ever play D&D, it's so hilarious, like the mockery of the fighter genre, character.
So Boo's first appearance is with Minsc, though.
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I can't find anything. There's a Best of Minsc and Boo book.
Yep.
I think they're generally a team. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think they separate. I've never read Minsc and Boo. I do have the Minsc and Boo. I saw the cards in our Magic set. I really would love to play Dungeons and Dragons and watch Dungeons and Dragons and know more about Dungeons and Dragons. But Sir Chonk just collects Dungeons and Dragons stuff and then won't let me play.
I won't stop you from playing.
I want to play.
Okay, go ahead.
How am I supposed to play? I don't know how to play.
So learn.
Yeah, well, I can't because you won't teach me.
There are books that
you won't let me look at them. You take them and hide them and hoard them all.
Tell you how to play.
Anyway.
Wow, that's a very Mr. Norrell thing. But anyway, not important.
Anyway, number 2, my number 2 favorite character of all time. I do not have her first appearance. You were asking what I want for Christmas? Get me this. It's Walking Dead number 2.
But, like, you just asked me this now.
Yeah, well, who knows? Maybe he'll figure it out in the next month. Anyway, I love Andrea.
We have to point out, though, otherwise I won't be able to live with myself, that the Andrea in the TV show
I was about to say that.
So incredibly different. The TV show Andrea is one of the dumbest, most annoying characters of all time. And the one in the book is amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Is like, if you have only seen the show and you're like, Andrea.
Yeah, she's the worst.
That is not the same person. They have the same name. That is literally the only thing about her that is similar. Like, I feel like parts of Michonne, obviously, especially the relationship with Rip, Sasha and parts of Carol are actually like the Andrea from the book. Like they take a lot of her stories and give them to those people. But Andrea in the book is so good. She's so good that when she died, spoiler if you haven't read it, but it was like 5-10 years ago at this point. When she died in the book, I stopped reading it. And I think there were only like 10 issues or something after that. And actually, Kirkman has said it was the biggest regret he had in the series and he shouldn't have killed her.
And he killed her such a dumb way.
Right, because killing her off was like, it wasn't just that he killed her off. It was that he killed her off like, oh, she randomly got bit by a zombie, like she forgot about them. And I was like, what? Just like, in like what, Game of Thrones, when like then he forgot about Euron or whatever it was, or something, or Euron forgot about the dragons or whatever it was. But really, like, why they decided to kill her for no reason. It's like he just felt like he wanted a big, exciting moment and had run out of things to do. So he's like, oh, everybody loves Andrea, let's just kill her off. And again, it could have worked if it, like, made sense for the plot. I'm not, like, opposed to killing main characters off. But it just felt so cheap and so unnecessary.
It's like, I'm going to shake things up by killing off this character people like.
Right.
Like, well, you're stupid.
Yeah, and I stopped reading it. So I didn't read the last, like, 10 or 12 issues or whatever it was since she died. 20 issues. I don't know. Because I stopped. I was like, I'm done. Because she's that good. Like, I know Rick is the main character, and Carl's pretty cool, actually, in the book.
Carl's awesome in the book. He also sucks in the show.
He's okay in the show.
He has a few good moments.
Yeah.
But they don't use real Carl. Real Carl in the book is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, I think they limited some of the things they could do in the show with him because he was still young in early parts, and, you don't want to, like, set up, like, a young actor to play, like, some of these sociopathic things he does in the book. But, like, Rick is fine, but, like, Andrea was the reason I read this series. I loved her. She's just, and what's so great about Andrea is, like, she goes from being, like, this idiot, ditzy college kid to being pretty much, like, the leader of the community, or co-leader with Rick, like, a badass sniper. Like, she's just, and what I think is so interesting about her is that she, obviously the whole series is great because it's like, what would normal people do in this situation? That's abnormal. And that's part of what makes, I think, Walking Dead so good. And it's hard to kind of speak to The Walking Dead anymore because the show is so bad and went so far off the rails and is so distant from the comics that it's like, it's like I feel like I'm talking about it and people are like, what? The Walking Dead? And it's like, and I even feel like that. Sometimes when I think of The Walking Dead, I'm just like, ugh. But that's just because the show got so dumb. And, like, I gave up the show way before you did.
I watched the whole thing out of spite.
Right.
I even liked, like, the last 7 seasons.
You got me to watch it after reading the comics. Because I didn't want to watch it at first. And then I watched it, and then I didn't like it, and I stopped watching it eventually anyway. Because I was like, it's just not good. I think I stopped watching it the second season of Negan. Because I thought they, like, made him just so weak. Like, he just wasn't interesting.
It took him a little while, but now they turned him into, like, a complete pilot.
And I love the actor. So, like, it was just, honestly, I just did not, I love a lot of the cast. That cast was great. And they just didn't use it right. Anyway, but Andrea's amazing. And it's like this, it's so great to watch this character that you're just like, what would happen if you just took, like, a regular person who really, truly was, like, just trying to survive and, essentially, like, builds these skills and becomes this person, but somehow really retains her humanity through it all and is really...
retain our huge humanity.
Yeah, but so she's just... and it's tough because you see, obviously, some characters, like, try to be good all the time and then get screwed because of it, or characters that let go of Herschel being all like, yeah, like, let's retain our humanity, and it doesn't work out for him, and then people who, like, kind of just become cold-blooded, and Andrea somehow through it all manages to be able to do both, like, know when it's time to just, like, snipe some people,
know when to hold them,
and, like,
and also know when to hold them.
But yeah, I love Andrea. I would love her first appearance. So that's my number 2. Sir Chonk's number 2.
Oh,
you have his first appearance, right?
Yes, of course.
Oh, we have almost everybody except Andrea then.
2 of them. This is my favorite character.
I think apparently Rob Liefeld drew this version.
Yeah, that's too bad. From G.I. Joe, and that is Storm Shadow. If you know who Storm Shadow is, I'm sorry, but he's awesome. Like, there's a lot of ninjas out there, and G.I. Joe in particular goes from a series that only had like 2 for like most of the
Was it
run.
Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes?
To suddenly having like a whole bunch of random meatball ninjas who kind of like diluted the whole thing. But regardless, Storm Shadow is awesome because he's essentially like hired by the evil dudes, right?
Cobra?
But he does like evil stuff, but he's like not particularly an evil person, so he has these back and forth moments. So sometimes he's with the good guys, sometimes he's with the bad guys, but he always is awesome, and he always has that super cool outfit. And he's got a great name, Storm Shadow. That's gotta be one of the best names of all time.
Did you watch the Snake Eyes movie?
I don't think so.
Oh, I wonder if he's in it.
I don't know, maybe, probably. They have a similar background. They're like brothers in a way.
Oh.
Not exactly, but kind of.
Interesting.
Arishikaji. Or I'm probably saying that wrong.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. I have never seen or read anything G.I. Joe except for that movie with Channing Tatum, which was absolute trash.
So you've never seen or read anything by J.I. Joe.
Right. And my number one character of all time, as I was like, don't kill off my favorite characters, is Death. And luckily, she can't die. She
has powers.
She doesn't have powers. She's just like...
She's like an
interdimensional entity
being who can do anything.
Right, but like...
She's not non-super.
She's not super.
I'm throwing a flag.
But the Endless are not super. They just are.
Anything that is just is, like, we are eternal. Those are not normal things. Those are not...
Okay, but she doesn't have powers. She just is death.
She just collects souls?
No, she doesn't do that. She's the existence of death. She's the human personification of a thing.
So she essentially kills everyone.
She doesn't kill anyone. She just hangs out with you when you're dead.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice, I guess.
Anyway, Sandman's amazing. I love Sandman. But... I mean, I love all of the Endless, but Death is just so cool. Do have her first appearance. I have it, slabbed a couple times. I thought I bought it, I had, a 9.4, or a 9... Yeah, I had a 9.4, and I thought I bought a second 9.4, and I was like, well, I can always sell it. But I apparently bought a second 9.6, so now I'm like, oh, I'm not going to sell that.
Wow, they're
anyway,
compelled.
You're excited by my story about Death, which actually is a super underrated comic book in, the grand scheme of things. You can get her
pretty highly rated,
right? But you can get. I'm saying you can get her first appearance for a little over $100.
It came out in the '90s,
which is just,
even for a smaller print run, it was still a lot.
I just don't think Sandman gets the credit it deserves for being as amazing as it is.
I think it does. People generally think it's amazing.
Anyway, we haven't finished the Sandman series on Netflix because we suck, and we haven't even seen much of Death, and I'm excited to see that. And so. I know she's not the little goth girl that she is in the comics, which is fine because, again, she's just the entity that is, so she can look however she wants. And I don't know that the 90s goth girl is really a thing that needs to, I mean, obviously she was very much a product of her time in terms of her appearance. This screams 90s. I mean, I think it actually came out in 89, but still, this is so 90s. But yeah, I love Death. That sounded weird. She's a great character. Mm-hmm. And Sir Chonk does have, and this is a big first appearance to have tracked down.
So probably my favorite character, Miyamoto Usagi, the rabbit bodyguard from Stan Sakai's Usagi Yojimbo series. I love the whole feudal Japan thing, and what I love about this series is it's anthropomorphic, so it's all these animals doing all this stuff, right? You have a bunch of different types of animals. But despite the fact that these adorable animals, the book is super serious. It's a legit cultural, real to the culture as far as I can tell. Stan Sakai is Japanese. He's does a ton of research. He knows all about this stuff. So it's just a great series that sticks to creating incredible characters, great stories. You wouldn't think where your rabbit samurai is in, I think, there's maybe a couple of books he doesn't appear in. He's in almost every single issue. He's the main character, of course, in every issue. They're a samurai chilling in feudal Japan. How many stories can you have that are different? And he just keeps having stories he hasn't done before. I don't understand how he has this many ideas. It's incredible. The character's great. The side character's great. There's Spot on the picture there.
His little dinosaur friend.
Yep, he's got tons of of great side characters.
They have a rhinoceros bodyguard friend.
Gen or Jen, I forget. I don't know how to pronounce it. Gen or Jen.
I
think it's Gensuki, but I call him Gen all the time because I don't know what I'm doing. But Kitsune I know how to pronounce. And
she's a fox, right?
well, she's a fox, but she's a thief. But anyway, tons of characters. Usagi's got like that very
but
traditional.
I think Kitsune means fox.
Yeah, Kitsune
right?
means fox. Like Usagi, Yojimbo means rabbit bodyguard.
Yeah.
Usagi means rabbit. So what the heck? Oh yeah, he's got a very noble sense of honor. So like the person that he like originally worked for was killed in battle, like before the series even starts. So as a result, he sort of like walks the quote warrior's pilgrimage. For basically the rest of his days to grow and learn and help people because he feels shame that he didn't protect his leader and stuff. It's awesome. If you're into Japanese culture, if you're into samurai stuff at all, this is an absolutely amazing series that everyone should read.
I know he shows up. A lot of people know him from TMNT because I've referenced him in conversations with people.
It's a little derpy in TMNT though.
Right, and people are like, "Oh, I know him from TMNT. He was on the show or he was in the comics." Speaking of TMNT. That new movie was actually really freaking good. Like, I was like, I thought it looked kind of bad, and then everyone's like, no, it's good.
The preview looked awful.
And then I watched another preview and was like, oh, it looks kind of funny. And then the movie was, like, legit. Like, I was like, this is fun. I mean, it's fun. It's not as serious, obviously, as Usagi, but, like, I thought it was, like, fun without being, like, stupid. Like, it's hard to pull that off. Like, to be entertaining for kids, but also not be dumb. You know, and I thought it was like, it did a good job. I'm really excited to see more of those movies now. I hope they do more. So, you know, and I think that's hard to like pull off. And like you said, I mean, it's especially when it's like, and I think Canto is another example of it, like you have on here, or even like the D&D stuff. It's like it's hard to pull off like something that can be read as an adult and taken seriously. Especially because comics are already kind of seen as, like, kiddish medium. And then, you know, have it be cute and have it be fun and, like, have it be accessible to, like, kids and teenagers. But also, like, not just be, like, cheesy, you know? And I think sometimes, especially, there's a lot of indie on here. Partially because, you know, DC and Marvel tend to focus primarily on superheroes. But there's a lot of indie stuff on here, and I think that's because, like, a lot of the indie comics try to, like, they're not trying to be as family-friendly and, like, you know, like, hit the mainstream, I think, as much. So I think they get to do a lot more, like, they get to elevate the medium a bit, you know, from, like, not that DC and Marvel are crap or anything. I mean, there's, like, really good writers doing stuff for DC and Marvel. It's just that, obviously, you know, when people think of comic books, they think they're like a kid thing or like at most a teenager thing. You know, they don't think of them as like serious. And there's like some really great writing going on in comic books. Like, it gets kind of frustrating when people are like,
well, because if you're like, oh, you hear comic books have really great writing, and you pick up like Batman or Superman or Spider-Man recently, and it's like, well, some of the Batman's pretty good, but like,
and again, some of those are even good writers.
It's not that great, or it's like kind of corny. Like, well, that's not necessarily like some of that is still good, but it's not necessarily where like the good stuff is coming from.
Right, and again, some of those are the good writers, but you know they have those limitations of you having this 60-year-old character that you can't really, you don't have the freedom to like, you can't take Spider-Man and make him this vicious murderer or anything. Like you kind of have to fit the Spider-Man brand, you know, and Marvel's also like, we have an audience that we need to like toe the line with, where, you know, when you're like, okay, Walking Dead, we don't have an audience, we don't have an existing brand, do what you want and build your own brand and stuff, and like you can have a little bit more creativity. And so I think you see a lot of like these indie series do some really, really cool stuff. I mean, like, you know, I mean, I know we're talking about TMNT, but like, I mean, TMNT did something different, and, you know, Usagi's different, and Walking Dead, and obviously, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so I think this kind of just shows that there's, like, so much variety in the world of comics, and, you know, I think sometimes people just think it's, like, the big name superhero stuff, and, you know, and again, not that stuff is bad. There's some good stuff going on there.
Right.
Yeah, so we've already did those, though.
Yep.
All right, so those are some, and if you haven't read some of these series, or if you have, like, let us know what you think. Are there indie series, especially, like, indie series we should be checking out? Like, you know, we try to, like, at least read some of the ones that mostly appeal to us, you know, the first issues of things from like Image or, Boom. But, there's definitely stuff I'm sure that's flying under the radar. So let us know. We'd love to explore some new things.
Yeah, explore. Your imagination's a fun place to explore.
What's that from? Oh, that's from Mad Funny video. Yeah. All right. Okay, bye now.
Boop.